The transport bay of the apex ascendant thrummed with the low growl of assembled warriors. Kayla stood apart from them, her shoulders squared despite the weight of 1,000 contemptuous stares. In a galaxy where strength was measured by the beast within, she was an anomaly, a human without the wolf gene, stationed aboard the most prestigious alpha warship in the Lupin Armada. "Look at the little pup," snarled Draxus, a lieutenant whose silver fur rippled beneath his tactical suit. "Still pretending she belongs among hunters." Laughter erupted from the pack. Kayla's jaw tightened, but she kept her eyes fixed on the weapons rack before her. 3 years she'd endured this. 3 years of being the only wolfless soldier in a fleet that worshipped transformation and primal dominance. "Draxus, formation," came a voice that cut through the mockery like a blade through flesh. Commander Varix emerged from the shadows of the upper deck, his presence a gravitational force that demanded silence. The Supreme Alpha of the Fifth Fleet, Varix was legend incarnate, a warrior who'd never lost a challenge, whose wolf form could tear through battleship hulls. His eyes, amber and ancient, swept across the assembled troops before settling on Kayla. She met his gaze without flinching. It was perhaps her only victory in this place. She had never lowered her eyes before any alpha, not even him. "We drop in 20 minutes, Varix announced. "The Kravish Hive has fortified the mining colony on Tertius 9. Intelligence suggests they're experimenting with anti-transformation frequencies. This mission requires precision, not posturing." The commander's words were directed at everyone, but Kayla felt their weight differently. Anti-transformation tech meant the Alpha's greatest advantage would be neutralized. It meant this battle would be won by skill, strategy, and raw human determination. That IT meant she might finally prove her worth. The colony was a graveyard of rust and screaming metal. Kayla moved through the corridors with practiced silence, her plasma rifle an extension of her will. Behind her, she heard the frustrated snarls of her packmates. Warriors who couldn't shift, couldn't call upon the beast that defined them. They were vulnerable. Mortal. Human, just like her. "East Wing is crawling with Kravish." Draxus's voice crackled through her calm. "We need." His words dissolved into static, then a scream. Kayla didn't hesitate. She pivoted down the east corridor, her tactical display showing 9 hostiles converging on Draxus's position. The Kravish were insectoid nightmares, all chitin and clicking mandibles, their hive mind making them terrifyingly coordinated. She found Draxus pinned beneath a collapsed support beam, 3 Kravish advancing with surgical precision. Her first shot took down the nearest, the plasma bolt burning through its thorax. The second turned, its compound eyes gleaming, but Kayla was already moving, sliding beneath its strike, rolling, firing upward through the gap in its carapace. The third Kravish lunged. Kayla's rifle was empty. Time crystallized into single heartbeats as she dropped the weapon, drew her combat blade, and met the creature's momentum with a calculated strike. The blade found the neural cluster at the base of its skull. The Kravish convulsed and fell. "You," Draxus gasped as she hauled the beam off him. "You saved." "Save your breath," Kayla cut him off. "We're not done." But they were far from safe. Her tactical display lit up with crimson warnings. 50 hostiles. Converging. The rest of the squad was pinned down in separate locations, and the command center, where Varix was attempting to disable the anti-transformation field, was under siege. Kayla made a decision that defied every protocol she'd been taught. "All units, fall back to the secondary extraction point," she commanded, overriding her rank. "I'm going for the commander." "Negative," Draxus shouted. "You can't." She was already running. The command center was an abattoir. Bodies, both Lupin and Kravish, littered the floor. At the center of the carnage stood Varix, blood streaming from a dozen wounds, his rifle long discarded, fighting with nothing but his combat knife and the ferocity of a cornered predator. Even without his wolf, he was magnificent, but he was dying. That Kayla's entrance drew the attention of 6 Kravish warriors. She didn't slow. Her blade sang through chitin and sinew as she carved a path to Varix's side. Back to back, they became a storm of violence and precision. "The console," Varix grunted, deflecting a strike. 3 more minutes. I'll buy you 4, Kayla replied. She didn't know where the words came from, or the certainty behind them. But something was awakening in her blood, something that had nothing to do with wolf genes or transformation. It was pure, distilled human fury, the rage of every underestimated warrior who'd ever been told they weren't enough. Her movements became fluid, instinctive. She read the Kravish patterns as if they were written in light. Every strike was economical, every dodge perfectly timed. She wasn't stronger than them or faster, but she was smarter, more adaptable, more viciously determined. When the last Kravish fell, and the anti-transformation field collapsed with a harmonic whine, Kayla stood amid the carnage, breathing hard but unbroken. Varric stared at her, amber eyes wide with something she'd never seen there before. Wonder. "What are you?" he whispered around them. The sound of transformation filled the air as the Lupin soldiers reclaimed their wolf forms. But none of them moved. They stood at the threshold of the command center, bearing witness to the wolfless human who had achieved what their alpha forms could not. Kayla sheathed her blade, meeting Varric's gaze with that same unflinching certainty. "I'm what humanity becomes," she said quietly, "when we stop apologizing for what we're not and start embracing what we are." The Supreme Alpha of the Fifth Fleet, warrior of 1,000 battles, slowly lowered himself to one knee. Behind him, one by one, every Alpha in the corridor did the same, not in submission, but in recognition. Kayla had not evolved into a wolf. She had evolved into something far more dangerous. A human who understood that her supposed weakness was her greatest strength. In a universe of specialized predators, she was the ultimate generalist, adaptable, innovative, and utterly, terrifyingly human. Varric rose, extending his hand. "We need more like you, Kayla. Not soldiers who can become wolves, but warriors who can become more." She clasped his forearm in the traditional Lupin gesture of respect between equals. "Then stop looking for wolves," she replied, a slight smile touching her lips, "and start recruiting humans." As they evacuated the colony, word spread through the fleet about the wolfless warrior who had saved the Supreme Alpha and turned the tide of battle. The mockery ceased. The contempt evaporated. In its place grew something new, a legend that would reshape the Lupin Armada forever. The legend of the human who taught the wolves what true strength meant.